I was thinking about how we make these huge life decisions. Like, if you needed knee surgery, you wouldn't just pick the first doctor who popped up on a Google ad, right?
I would certainly hope not.
And you definitely wouldn't pick a surgeon just because your friend said, "Oh, he's super nice. We had coffee once."
No, you'd want the specialist who's done that exact procedure like 500 times. You want the person who dreams about knee ligaments.
Exactly. But for some reason, when it comes to real estate, which is, the biggest asset most of us will ever own, that is exactly what people
Oh,
do.
all the time.
They hire the nice agent, or the one with the splashy billboard, or their cousin's friend who, just got their license.
It's what we call the nice agent fallacy. We hire a realtor like we're picking a friend for brunch, not a tactical partner for a massive financial transaction. And frankly, in a complex market, nice can cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
And that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into one specific, and I mean deceptively complex market, the Kennett Consolidated School District in Chester County, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Now, I have to admit, when I first looked at the sources you send over, the market reports, the boundary maps, the ag data, I
Yeah.
thought, okay, it's just a suburb. How hard can this
Right, yeah,
possibly
yeah,
be?
yeah.
And I was completely wrong. Buckle up, because this place is an absolute minefield.
It really is. On the surface, Kennett seems straightforward, but when you look at the data for early 2026, you find a market defined by these invisible boundary lines that swing property values, a huge agricultural economy that literally changes the air you breathe, and,
Yeah.
well, data that's just lying to you if you don't know how to read it.
That's the part that really got me, the data illusions. So look, our mission today is simple. We're going to arm you. If you're looking to buy or sell in Kennett Consolidated, we're going to give you the lie detector tests.
Right.
The specific questions and the hard data points you need to ask an agent to figure out if they're a pro or if they're
Yeah.
just a tourist.
And that distinction pro versus tourist is critical here. Because seeing an agent's face on every shopping cart does not equal local competence. In Kennett, you can have an agent who's a superstar 20 minutes away. They come down here and they crash and burn.
Okay, let's start right there. That feels counterintuitive to me. A real estate license is statewide, right? Why would an agent who sells 50 homes a year in, say, Westchester or Downingtown, struggle so much in Kennett?
It all boils down to transferable expertise, or really the lack of it. So an agent might be a total rock star in Westchester. They know every street. But when they come down to Kennett Consolidated, they're stepping into a different world. The district covers three very distinct vibes, for lack of a better word.
Break down those vibes for us.
Okay, so first you have Kennett Square Borough. That's your Gilmore Girls town. It's high density, walkable, commands a premium price per square foot. You've got coffee shops, festivals, public water, and sewer.
Got it. The urban-suburban mix.
Right. But then you drive 5 minutes and you're in Kennett Township. Now you're in these established suburban neighborhoods, maybe a bit more land, more privacy. And then you have East Marlborough Township, which gets rural fast.
So big parcels, horse farms.
Exactly. Large parcels, protected open space, things like that. It's not one homogeneous blob of suburbs. And here's the kicker. In East Marlborough, you are almost certainly dealing with a private well and an on-site septic system. A city agent from Westchester might not know the first thing about a hydraulic load test or a sand mound system.
And that sounds expensive if you get it wrong.
It's incredibly expensive. If your agent doesn't know the zoning setbacks for a horse property or how to properly inspect a septic tank, they're a liability, period.
So how do we weed them out? The notes here mention a volume test.
This is your first lie detector. It's blunt, but it's necessary. You look them in the eye and you ask, how many transactions have you personally closed, specifically within the Kennett Consolidated School District in the last 24 months?
Specifically Kennett, not just Chester County.
Correct. And if that answer is fewer than 5, you should be very, very careful. Honestly, I'd probably walk away.
5? That seems like a low bar, though. Shouldn't we be asking for, like, 20?
You'd think so, but in a market this hyperlocal, 5 is actually a pretty solid floor. It shows recent repeated exposure. If they've done 0 or 1, they are learning on your dime. They won't know the streets. They won't have relationships with the other local agents. You need someone who is in the flow of this market.
Okay, so question 1 is volume. What's the second lie detector?
The second one is the list-to-sale ratio. This is just a pure data test. Right now, as of early 2026, that ratio in Kennett Consolidated is 98.8%.
98.8%. Okay, let's unpack that. That sounds incredibly high.
It's very tight. It's a measure of market efficiency. On a median-priced home in Kennett, which is sitting at about $579,500 right now, that 98.8% means sellers are accepting, on average, just about $7,000 below their asking price.
Wow. So that's basically asking price.
Essentially, yes. It tells us that homes are, by and large, being priced accurately right from the start. We're seeing that only about 16.7% of active listings have had any price reductions at all. That's what, 8 out of 48 homes on the market?
So let me play devil's advocate here. If I'm a buyer and I see a house listed for $580,000 and my agent says, hey, let's go in at $550,000 and see what happens.
You're going to lose the house immediately. That's a great strategy in a sloppy market or a buyer's market. It does not work in Kennett right now. With a 98.8% ratio, the market is just too efficient. An agent encouraging a lowball offer isn't looking at the data. They're just operating on a gut feeling, and their gut is wrong.
And what if I'm a seller?
If you're a seller, that 98.8% is your shield. If your house sits for 2 or 3 weeks without an offer, you are a statistical outlier. The market is screaming at you. A bad agent will say, oh, let's just be patient. A good agent will say, the data says we missed the mark on price or condition. We need to pivot now.
So when I'm interviewing an agent, do I just ask them for the number straight up?
Yes. Ask them, what is the current list-to-sale ratio in Kennett? If they don't know it off the top of their head, or if they have to pull out their phone and guess, they are not tracking this market daily.
It's like a pop quiz.
Exactly. You want the nerd. You want the person who obsesses over the spreadsheets.
Speaking of numbers that can trick you, this is where it gets really interesting for me. I was looking at the pricing data, and there is this huge gap between the median price and the average price.
Yes. This is section 2, decoding the distorted data. This is where amateurs get tripped up and where, honestly, bad agents can really manipulate you.
I mean, ideally, median and average should be pretty close, right? But here, the median is around $580,000, and the average is almost $822,000. That's a $240,000 difference. That's a whole other house.
It's a massive spread, and it's driven entirely by the top end of the market. Kennett has a handful of these luxury estate properties. We're talking historic farmhouses, huge parcels near Longwood Gardens. That lists for $2-3 million. We're seeing listings up to $3.25 million.
So a few multi-million-dollar sales are just skewing the math for everyone else.
Precisely. So if an agent walks into your standard 4-bedroom colonial and says, great news, the average home price is $820,000, they're technically not lying, but they're absolutely misleading you. Unless you're selling one of those estates, the median is the real number. The average is just a vanity metric in this market.
That is such an important distinction. It's like calculating the average income in a bar right after a billionaire walks in.
Perfect analogy. And there's another data point that's even more misleading. Days on market.
Yes, I saw this. The average days on market in Kennett is 146. That sounds incredibly slow. Like something is wrong, slow. In a market with low inventory, isn't that a sign of a crash?
That looks scary, doesn't it? 146 days is almost 5 months. But this is a classic data illusion.
An illusion.
That number is being artificially inflated by about 8 to 10 new construction or spec homes. These are listings for houses that are currently being built. They're just lines on a blueprint. They sit in the MLS as active for months and months while the construction timeline plays out.
Oh, I see. So the market isn't rejecting them. They just literally don't exist in a finished state yet.
Exactly. They act like an anchor, just dragging that average way, way up. If you strip out those new builds and look just at the resale market existing homes, things are moving much, much faster.
So the test for the agent here is, can they explain that distinction?
That's it. Ask them. The average days on market is 146. That seems really slow. Why? If they start talking about interest rates or the economy, they don't know the data. If they immediately say, oh, ignore that, that's the new construction drag, your resale home will move in X days, then you know you've got a pro.
I love that. It's so binary. They either know the why or they don't.
And knowing the why is everything in Kennett. Which, brings us to the physical reality of the place. We've talked numbers, let's talk geography. Because in Kennett, the physical reality gets messy.
You're talking about the school boundaries.
The school boundary minefield?
I looked at the map in the source notes. It looks like someone spilled spaghetti on a piece of paper. It's not a square grid at all.
It's chaotic. And this is probably the single biggest risk for buyers moving into the area. People move here for the schools, they want Kennett Consolidated, or maybe they want the neighboring Unionville-Chadds Ford.
But the mailing addresses don't line up with the school districts, right?
Not even close. You can have a Kennett Square mailing address and be in the Unionville School District.
Yeah.
Or Avon Grove. You can literally be on one side of a road, say Route 82, and be in one district while your neighbor across the street is in another.
And the price difference between those districts can be huge.
Huge. And the taxes are different. So just imagine you buy a house thinking you're in Kennett Consolidated. You close. You go to register your kid for school. And the registrar says, sorry, you're actually Avon Grove.
Oof. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
And it happens more than you'd think. It happens because an agent is lazy. They just check the postal address and assume.
So the test here seems pretty obvious then. Ask the agent to show you the lines.
Yes. Don't take their word for it. Make them show you. Show me exactly where the boundaries overlap on a map. A real local expert knows the cutoffs. They know, okay, south of Hillendale Road, it's tricky. If they hesitate or if they just sort of wave a hand and say, oh, this whole area is basically Kennett, they are liability.
Verify everything. Okay, so we can't talk about Kennett Square without talking about the elephant in the room. Or, I guess, the fungus in the room.
The mushroom factor.
The mushroom capital of the world, which is cool. I love mushrooms. But I hear that living next to where they're grown is a unique sensory experience.
It is distinctive, yes. Chester County produces over 60% of the mushrooms in the U.S. It's a massive economic engine. But yes, the substrate used to grow them. It has a smell.
A rich, earthy aroma is the polite term I've seen.
That's one way to put it. It can be pungent. But here is the nuance that outsiders miss. It is not everywhere, and it is not all the time.
So how do you vet an agent on this? I feel like a bad agent would just say, oh, don't worry about it.
That is the big red flag. You'll hear two lies. Lie number one. Oh, you never smell it. That's false. Lie number two is even lazier. It smells everywhere. You just get used to it.
So what's the truth?
The truth is all about wind patterns and proximity. A real local expert will say, okay, see that big facility on the hill? The prevailing winds in the summer blow from the west. So this neighborhood down here gets the aroma on hot July nights, but that neighborhood over there is upwind, so they almost never get it.
That is such a granular level of detail.
It's vital. Some buyers love it. It's the smell of the local economy. Others can't stand it. Your agent needs to respect that with actual facts, not just dismissiveness.
And that ties into the lifestyle differences, too. Right. We mentioned the borough versus the townships. It seems like you really have to decide what kind of life you want.
You do. The borough gets a premium price because of walkability. You can walk to restaurants, shops, festivals. You're on public utilities.
But if you go out to East Marlborough,
you get acreage, you get privacy, and here we are again, you are almost certainly dealing with well water and a septic system.
Which goes right back to that Westchester agent problem. They might not check the septic.
Exactly. And there are other perks only locals really use. For example, tax-free shopping.
Oh, right. You're right on the Delaware border.
Literally minutes away.
Yeah.
If you live in Kennett Township, you are 10 minutes from the Christiana Mall in Delaware. 0% sales tax. If you're buying a new TV or a laptop or clothes for the kids, that saves you 6% instantly.
It adds up fast.
It really does. And then you have Longwood Gardens. It's one of the best botanical gardens on the planet right there. Having that as your backyard isn't just a nice weekend activity. It's a property value anchor. It stabilizes the whole market. If an agent isn't selling you on the Longwood proximity or the tax hack, they aren't selling the full lifestyle.
Okay, so we've covered the metrics, the data distortions, local knowledge. Now I want to get into what you call advanced vetting. There's a trap in the notes called buying the listing. This sounds sinister.
It's the oldest trick in the book, and it works because it plays directly on our ego.
Okay, so paint me a picture. How does it work?
So you're selling your home. You interview 3 agents. 2 of them, the honest ones, they look at the data, that 98.8% ratio, the comps, and they tell you your home is worth about $575,000.
Okay. A little disappointed maybe, but I trust the data.
Then the 3rd agent comes in, they compliment your curtains, and they say, wow, this place is beautiful. I can get you $640,000.
And naturally, I want to go with the person who thinks my house is worth more. My eyes light up. That's an extra 65 grand.
Of course. You're flattered. You see the dollar signs. You think, those other agents didn't see the real value here. This agent believes in my house. So you hire agent number 3.
But the reality is, the market sets the price, not the agent.
Exactly. So you list at $640,000. And because we know that list-to-sale ratio is so tight, buyers see that high price and just assume you're unreasonable. So the house sits. Remember that days on market stat? Now you're becoming part of the problem. The house gets stigmatized.
So eventually you have to drop the price anyway.
You have to. And usually you end up selling for less than the original $575,000 because now the listing just looks stale.
So the agent bought the listing by promising a fake number just to get you to sign the contract.
Precisely. They secured the inventory knowing full well they'd have to beat you down on price later on.
How do we defend against that?
You demand the receipt. If an agent promises a price that's way higher than the others, you ask them to show you the specific comparable sales that justify it against that 98.8% list-to-sale ratio. You say, if the market is trading at 99% of asking, show me the math that gets us to this number.
Put the burden of proof right back on them. I love that.
Always. If they can't show you a similar house that sold for that number in the last 6 months, they are lying to you. Do not let your ego write a check your house can't cash.
It is solid advice. Now, before we wrap, what about all those letters after an agent's name? Designations. Do any of them actually matter?
Most of them, no. They're weekend courses so agents can put a logo on their business card. But in Kennett specifically, there are 3 that actually signal relevant, valuable expertise.
Okay, hit me.
First is SRES Seniors Real Estate Specialist. Kennett has a lot of long-term homeowners, people who have lived in the same house for 40 years. Selling those homes involves estate planning, capital gains, the emotional side of downsizing, and SRES is trained for that.
Makes sense. What's number 2?
Second is RCS-D. That's a specialist in divorce situations.
Ah, the unpleasant reality.
It happens, and if you are selling because of a separation, you need someone who can navigate the legal minefield and the conflict, not just put a sign in the yard.
And the third?
CLHMS Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist. Remember those multi-million-dollar estates? You don't market a historic farm the same way you market a townhouse. It requires drone photography, maybe international reach, real storytelling. If you're in that upper bracket, that designation actually matters.
So don't just be impressed by the acronyms. Ask if they apply to your situation.
Exactly. Context is everything.
We're getting to the end here, and I want to leave our listeners with this really cool tech-savvy tip from your notes.
Really?
We've talked about all these questions to ask: volume, boundaries, mushroom smells, but how do you verify the answers?
This is the trust but verify step. This is your nuclear option. Use the AI auditor.
The AI auditor, I like the sound of that.
Yes. We all have access to tools like ChatGPT or Claude now. Use them as a bullshit detector. After you interview an agent, take the specific claims they made, oh, prices are up 20%, or this area never smells, and just feed them into an AI.
You just type it right in.
Literally ask it. I'm vetting a real estate agent for Kennett Consolidated School District. They claimed X, Y, and Z. Can you verify these claims against public market data?
That is brilliant. It's like having a second opinion right in your pocket.
It won't catch everything, but it will catch the obvious exaggerations. If an agent says the average price is $1 million, the AI will pull the public record and say, actually, the median is $579,500. It gives you an instant sanity check.
So let's bring it all home. Kennett Consolidated. It looks so simple on paper. 48 listings, seller's market, 2 months of supply. But the devil is.
Wow.
Is he in the details?
He really is. It's in the smell of the air, the invisible school district lines, and the distorted data from new construction.
You have to ask about specific transaction volume. Kennett specific. You need to verify they know that 98.8% list-to-sale ratio. And you have to make sure they aren't just buying your listing with a fantasy price.
And ultimately, I'll just leave you with this thought. We've been talking for about 15 minutes now. In that time, you, the listener, have learned more about the specific critical metrics of the Kennett Consolidated market than probably 80% of the licensed agents in Pennsylvania.
That's a bold statement, but based on what we've covered, the data illusions, the boundaries, I believe it.
So the real question is, if an agent sits in your living room and doesn't know the market better than you do after listening to this deep dive, why on earth would you pay them a 6-figure commission?
Mic drop. That is the question to ask. Stay curious, everyone, and don't let the nice agent fool you.
Vet them with data.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.